Coach Zach here. Welcome back. We are chatting with Marci again today. We've been chatting all week. We've been having a great conversation about emotional eating, and Marci has been giving us some sneak peeks behind the curtains as to her magic and how she helps people work through emotional eating issues in order to continue making the choices that we know we need to be making in order to achieve the outcomes that we've signed up to the nutrition and training program for. So far this week, we've covered some steps. We started with awareness. Marci was telling us that we need to be aware of how we're feeling, what we're thinking, possibly what we might be choosing in that moment. The last step we covered was the introduction to her WAR plan, which is going to be awesome to learn all about. And the W stood for write it out. So when we start to have these triggers and we start to engage in this pattern, the fastest way to break it, Marci told us, was going to be pen, paper, get it out of our head, get it down, see what's going on. Okay, so Marci, let's say we've done that. I'm sensing that something's going on. I know that I'm wanting to eat. Part of the awareness that you talked about was it's not physiological. I'm not hungry. There's some boredom there. There's some another emotion going on. And now I'm thinking about eating. So I write it out. Okay, I'm starting to write out some emotions and my triggers. What is next? What does the A stand for?
Okay, so part of the write it out is also going to have to do with a plan that maybe you have made as far as what you are going to do. So you've already kind of pre-thought through this. So the A actually has to do with act on it. So we've got the W and the A as far as the WAR, so it's an acronym, and you're going to act on it. So how do you act on this? Now, one of the biggest things that I have found useful for myself as well is setting alarms. Okay, so you set alarms on your phone to go off. That doesn't need to be, it doesn't have to have noise, it doesn't have vibration, it doesn't have to have anything along those lines. But when you set alarms to remind yourself why you're doing this, remind yourself, what are my other options? So if you know normally around 3 o'clock, you're gonna wanna go rummaging through the cabinets, set an alarm for say 2:55 and head that thing off at the pass. So when you act on these plans that you've already made, then it reminds you why you're doing this, okay? And just remember, just like anything that's new, you're probably not gonna get it right the first time. It's gonna take a few times of doing this. Again, kind of leads into why we do this for our program that's coming up and why it's 66 days long. So the A is to act on it. So you now got to act on your plan. You've got it written out. You've written out all of your whys, and now you need to act on it. So say I am bored or I'm procrastinating. That's actually probably more accurate for myself. And I'm procrastinating doing something. And now I'm going to go rummage through the cabinets. I have it written out, and now I'm like, oh gosh, this alarm's going off because I normally work during these times and normally I'm getting it at these times. Alarm goes off and tells me don't eat the whatever. Or you can frame it positively of, hey, go for a walk. Hey, go do this. Now, what that's going to work out for each person is very individual, and that's what I help you find. I help you find those trigger words that are going to help you. Remember, triggers aren't always a bad thing. It can be a good thing too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, on that note, I mean, technically, like you just said, everything is a trigger. I mean, I am triggered into going to work out. I'm triggered into eating the good food. I'm triggered to going to bed on time. So I do agree with that. Definitely don't keep a negative connotation around that trigger. Now, one little sneaky trick that I've used to procrastinate and making changes is I like to take everything that I've learned and everything that I know and make a big complex list of lots of details and, lots of different choices. Is that going to get me further, or should I how many tools or how many strategies do you think we need to really start to make some effective changes here?
With anything that I teach people, I always have a rule of 3. And I'll be honest, the reason I pick 3 is whether it's exercises, whether it's habits I'm changing, whatever it is, I pick 3 because I won't do more than 3. And there's a good chance you're not either. I'm pretty disciplined in a lot of areas, but there are some things where I'm like, you start going into the weeds when you get into the 4 or 5. I mean, I can't tell you how many things you'll get pages of stuff and it's like, come on. And usually you boil it down to 3 things, like give yourself 3 options. Okay, I want to have the whatever in the cabinet. And maybe you don't have family members that are supportive and they want those things, but so you're trying to avoid it. So give yourself 3 things that you would do differently and then pick from those. And maybe you cycle through them. Okay, this craving, I'm going to do this one. This time I'm going to do this one. I'm going to go do this one. And we're going to go back to the first one. But I always have a rule of 3, honestly, because I won't do more than 3.
I love that. And also I find my mindset is so huge. If I'm thinking of it like this week, I've been just carb testing and it's just an experiment. There's no good or bad, evil, wicked or wrong. I'm just sitting there and I'm like, hey, what happens if I do this? What happens if I do this? And just kind of in that playful, curious kind of mindset, it starts to change it from this, disasterly world doom. If I get, like you said, we're going to make mistakes. I don't care how good we are or, how attentive we are. We're not going to get the plan 100% right. So stay in that mindset. Using just 3 things sounds perfect because it just gets convoluted after that. So as people can tell, I'm sitting in my car about to pick up my kiddos. I don't have the official countdown. How much time do we have left before our big discount expires? I think we're down to like
2 days.
Hours or something.
Yeah. So Saturday, it's going to close. So Saturday night, you got to let one of us know if this is what you want to get on. It's a $300 discount. Now, what we're doing is worth a whole lot more than what we're asking you guys for. So if you're interested, please message one of us and we'll give you all the details.
And I should make one more quick note. We are both emailing our list. So, we've been talking about this on Facebook Live and in our social media, and now the word is getting out elsewhere. So if you're interested, at the very least, contact Marci or I. We can talk to you, can answer your questions, and we can go from there. So thanks again for the time today, Marci.
Absolutely. Have a great day.
You too.
Okay. Bye.